It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So, folks, what does the Hazleton police chief do when he gets into his office? So here's what I thought we would do. Let's go to his office and find out what Chief Jerry Speziale does in the Hazleton area, particularly in his office. Let's go through a day of what a chief does and why it's so important for us to understand what happens. And first of all, let me compliment you on the fact that you have a force that you could probably need another 10 officers.
Absolutely.
And what you have and what they're doing is incredible.
Absolutely.
Could you only imagine if you had another 5 or 10 officers, what this city would be about? I want to address that a little later on the show. But Jerry, there's a couple things I wanted to talk to you about. So when you came in, what do you do a typical day for you?
You know, a typical day is, first of all, you have administrative paperwork. You know, you have to look at what's happened in the city. You have to look at how you're going to address your crime strategies. You have to look at the community you serve and what are their needs. You have to meet with the men and women here and make sure that they stay motivated and focused on the mission at hand. So there's so many different things that go on. It just moves so fast. It seems like the day is gone before you even start.
Okay, so that's a capsule. Okay, now, and there's much involved in each one of those things that you said. Yeah. So when you're looking at the administration, okay, of course you have to be in constant communication with the mayor. Okay.
Sure.
And what is that like? What are those meetings like?
You know, the mayor and me have a relationship that's built on mutual respect, trust, understanding, and friendship. And, you know, the good thing is being here in City Hall, it's so easy for me because, you know, I'll get the phone a ring and I need to talk to you. Out the door and you're up the stairs. Bring my pad, I sit and take my notes, whatever the mayor's concerns are, whatever's happening in the city that he needs, because he gets complaints, you know, from residents or issues at hand. I go and listen and then take care of those issues. Then I'll come back down and address them. And then I have to look at, you know, the community groups. I have to get out into the community and talk to different community members and find out what are their issues. Mm-hmm. And then you have to worry about, like I said, administrative paperwork, you know, whether it's certifications for the officers to make sure that they're up to speed. You know, being a police officer, I have to stay in compliance. I have to do my annual firearms certifications, my CPR, my first aid, my, you know, 12 hours of, you know, testing to make sure that I understand the law. You know, I have citizens that come in here with different concerns on drugs, on crime, on things that they believe are, you know, fraud or issues of that matter. Mm-hmm. I have to look up the law and talk to people. So it's a lot of, you know, interaction in so many different ways. And then you have to be prepared for, you know, where are you going in the future? You can't just sit on today. I have to look at, you know, getting out there to the faith-based community, to the different communities we have representing the city of Hazleton. And then I have to make sure that I'm up to speed with all of that. So, you know, we make sure that I make sure that every day that I'm doing exactly what needs to be done to make sure that we make a safer city.
When you came here to Hazleton, okay, and we had the initial show, and we talked about what your vision was for Hazleton, and anyone could Google your name, and they'll find out the long list of the reputation that Chief Speziale has. You had a discussion with the mayor before you took the position. Mm-hmm. And you had an objective, and I know we've talked about this before, but one of the things was, how were you going to look at crime? Mm-hmm. Because the way I see it, Jerry, is this way. And the city of Hazleton, as any police department, really has a domino effect throughout the community, okay? Because what we do here, it affects West Hazleton, Hazel Township,
Absolutely.
and McAdoo, and all the different areas. And I have to tell you, I have nothing but praise for the police department in these respective
Absolutely.
areas. Okay?
We work
very well together.
Absolutely.
But, so when you're looking at crime and you're looking at what's happening in the city, and we're going to see how you track some of these things down, I think that once you bring your crime down and people know that this is a city that you're not going to be able to get away with it because what you put in force, this increases values of homes and makes people safer. Is that correct?
By far. Like I said, I'm buying a home here. So would I buy a home if I thought the value is going to go down? Of course not. This needs to be the safest community it can be. That's what spurs that economic development. That's what brings people here to buy a home or to invest into this city. That's really what needs to be done. You know, we have Cooper's Curve, you know, with officers out on foot. We have, you know, strategic policing through evidence-based and hotspot mapping and data-driven policing. That's important. I have 4 police officers that we're looking at right now. I'm going through the process, but remember, we had the COPS grant that I was successful with to be able to hire police officers. So that's going to be helpful. I'd like to get the officers to go to 12-hour tours. That would put 33% more cars on the road. So we're doing good now. Imagine with all of that, where it goes. You got to just keep building. You can't sit back on your laurels and say, oh, I've done it, and we're down 26%, so I don't need to do anything. No, you can't do that. You got to keep having that vision to go forward.
You know, the thing that I admire you and the Mayor Gassett is the fact that, and this is public knowledge, I'm not just patronizing, the fact that you guys had to come into a situation where some people were saying, give me heat and then I'll give you wood.
Right.
Okay, and you had to go out there and generate this without the wood.
Sure.
And finally some said, well, maybe you get on the bandwagon now, we'll support the chief, we'll support the, you know. And so I think this is what, you know, the community looks at. I think they look at, you know, how very important, you know, the police department is to the community. When you're dealing with the various, the mayor, okay, I always think that if you're a mayor or if you're a councilman, I think your job is to see that the city is properly run, not to run it. And I find sometimes in cities, Jerry, that you have people who want to run things, and they don't have the experience like you have.
Sure.
How do you react when people try to tell you how to run something, particularly when you've been extremely successful? The record shows you're down 26% in crime. We'd like to get it down further.
Absolutely,
okay?
to 0.
How do you react to that?
You know, I don't have so much of a problem with that because I base my decisions, and I've told, you know, our elected officials, I've told everybody that I've dealt with, I base my decisions on solid police principles that are proven. Not politics. You didn't hire me for that. You hired me to be the chief of police and to make sure that I make a safer city and that I am on top of it every single day fighting for that. And that's what I do. And that doesn't just take Jerry or the chief to sit here and just come up with these ideas. It means motivating your men, thanking them, your men and women, you know, making sure that they're doing what they need to do, having that accountability all the way down, and that's how it really works. You know, you got to realize I walked into this organization, we had 12 people sick. We have 1. I mean, that's a big difference. Imagine how much money you're wasting when you have that many people out sick, you know. And that was, like I said, they're motivated. They're a talented group of individuals that are truly dedicated to the welfare of the citizens. And my job is to make sure that they maintain that motivation and that they're thanked every day. And another thing that's really important is making sure that you know each individual officer's personal issues. You know, who may have a sick child, who may be in some sort of financial trouble. Not that there is, but you need to know first names, wives, you know, any problems. That's how you keep people knowing that he doesn't just care about the police department and his job. He cares about us, and that's really what's important.
Well, you bring this in from the experience that you had, and we're going to talk about some of your national experience, which is interesting, and how I think we're fortunate in the area to have a person of your qualifications. Folks, I'm talking to Chief Jerry Speziale. So he comes to work every day. What does he face? But how does he protect us in the area? The Lesante family has a major property here. He's buying a home here. All these policemen who are in the area, even if you don't live in City Hazleton, is so important. We want to move forward, okay? We've read and seen on our local news recently about how our county is a little bit depressed and how things are maybe not the way they should be. Well, there are certain areas that are doing very well, okay? We'd like Hazleton to do better than what it is. And when we come back, we'll talk about how he also keeps an eye on things, even though he's doing all these other things. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Remember, folks, 24/7, you can watch all of our programming from years ago. Just go to ssptv.com and hit shows, or you'll see our news, etc. And remember, for those of you who have friends in Pottsville, we're on Channel 190 every day, Channel 92 in the Wilkes-Barre, Mountaintop, Kingston area, Saturdays and Sunday evenings, and in Lackawanna County, Scranton in the area is on Channel 190 Sundays and Saturday mornings. We're here at the Hazleton Police Department, City Hall in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. I'm speaking to our chief here, Chief Jerry Speziale. So Jerry's sitting down here. So Jerry, you just mentioned about all the things you do throughout the day. However, you are a hands-on person.
Yes.
Okay. So as you're a hands-on, what we're going to show the viewers right now is how you keep in contact with what's going on. So explain to me what the viewers will be looking at right now.
What they're going to look at is I've equipped every single patrol car in the city with a global positioning system, a tough pad, and a direct computer-aided dispatch system so they can route their call. It'll take them right to the call. They just click on the call and it takes them to it. They can do a car stop. They can silent dispatch. They can communicate with each other. They can look at maps to see where crimes have occurred. I can see where all my police cars are at any time. I can see how fast they're going. I can see where they're traveling to, which route they're taking. You know, so I have a way to see that, and I also have a way to know what's occurring as it's unfolding, who's there, who's arrived, what the situation is as the whole situation unfolds. So imagine you have that tough pad that's in the car that they're able to do all of that as well. But I can sit here and do my work, answer my calls, take care of everything that I'm doing, and then I can just look up and see what's happening in the city. And then I could change from seeing what calls are pending, what calls are dispatched, what officers are on it, what the call is, know what officers are assigned, who's working, and what vehicles are out there. And then if I want, I can change to the map and say, okay, who's going this way, who's going that way, where are my cars? And it's all accountability. It's all, like I said, a police officer can press a button now and say, route my call. So that means it's going to take us the quickest way. So it cuts down on calls for service time. It's able to, you know, if you need EMS, you have it all in there. It's all one-stop shopping. License plates, instead of bogging down the system, I have a car stop. Locks you right down so that when I know that that officer has a car stop, I can see on the map where that car is. So can all the other officers for safety of the officers. So you have officer safety, you have crime maps, you have GPS to know where your vehicles are, you have, you know, quicker service to calls. You know, all of these things just bring us into the age of technology, which I talked about. That's 21st century policing.
So, and you mentioned some of the benefits, because every time you have a feature, there has to be a benefit from it. Okay?
Absolutely.
So, some of the other benefits having this, and what does that mean in terms of either getting better results, or how does that cut down on crime?
Well,
because you brought crime down 26%.
Right. How does it cut down on crime? Because your officers are responding quicker. Other officers are able to respond with them. They know the quickest route to get there. The people that are criminals that may listen to a scanner don't know we're coming. because we can silent dispatch and communicate to each other over that tough pad. So we can cut out them hearing us coming if there was a burglary, a robbery. They don't know we're coming. We keep our sirens off when we go. Now, that's the way you reduce crime. And what happens is, as people start getting caught and getting arrested, we've taken so many people out of here from the New York area that were fugitives. They're not going to come here. You know, I remember when I first took the job, and we had this conversation in one of our talks. We were given a message out in the media that said heroin was cheap, we don't have no cops, and we're at 80 and 81. Well, why don't we put a billboard up, you know, cheap heroin here, and you don't have to worry.
Stand up.
You know, so my philosophy was, no, zero tolerance. We're coming to get you. You dare come in this city, it's a zero tolerance, and we're going to do everything we have to do. We're going to change the quality of life for the residents. We have a number of things that are coming that you'll see that'll happen over the next, you know, couple weeks that we're going to be doing some different things. And working with our counterparts, you know, the feds, the state, the county of Luzerne, the district attorney's office, Stephanie Salavantis' office is tremendous to us. I mean, we're doing a crime watch together on next Wednesday. Those are the things. You can't just look at one side. There's 2% of the community that commits 99% of the crime. Do you realize? Think about the residents of Hazleton. 2% commit 99% of the crime. So through intelligence, you identify that 2%. There's a new philosophy called the Safe and Secure Communities that I'm looking at with John Jay College and Dr. David Kennedy. I've worked with him before. He's a world-renowned criminologist. And it's identifying them groups, identifying that 2%, and then using what we call a focused deterrent team and bringing those people in. We know who you are. We know who you associate with. We know what you do. We can't catch you on everything. But the first time this happens, or the first time that happens, this is your warning. We're willing to offer you help. We're willing to get you off of substance abuse. We're willing to get you to, you know, county services. However, if you don't take this warning and you don't listen, the first time something happens and we identify it to your group, send the message. We're going to shut your cable. We're going to shut your electric if it's illegal. We're going to go after every single person in the group. That's the group-focused deterrent. It works.
And you've been using this.
Well, that's what we're going towards now. That's the newest.
Yeah. When you're looking at the national TV, I remember when they came in, to Hazleton, there were some people that felt, elected officials, and some, you know, professionals,
sure,
that felt this was not good for the city.
Right.
Okay. Now it has come and gone. You know, cops has been seen. Number one, why did you feel it was good for the city? Because so far you're doing everything that is extremely good for the city. I don't think you're going to sit there and say, oh, let's bring him in, this is bad for the city. And then when it did air, or whatever, what was the concept here? What was the mindset?
The mindset was to who watches cops? Do the economic developers watch cops? No. The criminals watch cops, or cops watch cops. So if you really think about it logically, I wanted the message out to the criminal element. Okay, cops can watch it. It's good for recruitment because they're proactive and they see it. But the criminal says, don't go there because look at what happens. Stay away from there because they may grab you. You know, they see that progressive, proactive policing. I mean, everybody has their opinion, and I respect that. But if you really looked at it, did I let anybody put anything about Hazleton in such a negative light? No. We were showing that we were a progressive police department, experienced, some of the finest police officers in the nation work here. And they were going out and showing what they do for a living. And guess what? Like I said, the economic developers and the businesses aren't watching cops. It's the criminals and the cops, and they're getting the message. Either you want to come and work for us, or you want to stay away from us. And that's really the issue.
And I think, you know, most people needed to understand that.
Sure.
Okay, because
and I understand that.
You know, so, and here again, it's a very touchy road. I always tell our viewers is we try to bring information, as much information as we're doing today, Jerry, about the police department. But when you have to, we have to get the politics out of what's happening. I see so far agendas being developed, okay, and I don't think that's good for the city. Everybody tries to justify things that are not right. They don't come to the right people. When you go to the mayor and you say, this is my plan, this is what I have, this is what I need, etc. Certainly his job is to question budgets, etc.
Of course.
He has to live with budgets,
Absolutely.
okay? And here again, you know, you want so many things that have been done successfully. He may not have the money because he doesn't have the budget.
I understand.
But you work with that.
Correct.
Okay. So in doing that, when you're meeting with your people and they're coming to you with, Chief, we need this, Chief, we have this, you want, etc. How do you work with this?
You know, it's patching things together, you know, with being creative through grants. You know, that's been one of my successes, being able to get new patrol cars through grants. You know, the HCA did come through for us and brought in a lot of money. You know, there was We Are Hazleton. I never seen a community come together, you know, so strong to support the police. And that helps us because that makes that morale go up because people are supporting you and want you out there. So I'm able to do it, and I'm able to do it with drug funds, you know, asset forfeiture. We're able to, you know, get things through donations. So, you know, it's hard because, you know, we're getting there. You know, we have 4 new patrol vehicles in the fleet. You know, that's a good thing. We're moving to black and whites because I think that the traditional seeing them out there, you know, just gives a better presence, an omnipresence of police. So, you know, you work with what you have. And you try and continue to find that money until you can get it budgeted accordingly. You know, that's really what happens.
And the results is that your crime is down 20%, 26%. Folks, I'm talking to Chief Jerry Speziale. We're here in his office, okay? As we're talking, you're seeing some of the beautiful endorsements and pictures and trophies this guy has. He has probably more than I have. I'm a little upset about that, Jerry. But anyway, folks, when your crime is down in the city of Hazleton, I'm going to ask Jerry a question when we come back. Is I know many of you people say to me, Sammy, the town is just not the same. It's not the same. You know, before we had people who were afraid to walk the streets, etc. And yes, we always have to be careful. But how are we now? We don't have the problem solved. But how are we now? Do we feel a little bit better, okay? And your property value is going up and crime goes down. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Folks, I'm here at City Hall, Hazleton, Pennsylvania, talking to the Chief of Police, Jerry Speziale. Jerry, we talked about mindset. People still say, well, you know, Sammy, this city's not the same, you know, and you know, and we understand, but it's a lot better than what it was. What do you say to these poor seniors that are out there afraid to walk the streets?
You know, crime is a perception issue, and you have to realize that the city has changed, I'm sure, over the years. But what you have to realize is there's no quality of life if your homes and neighborhoods aren't safe, and your children and your seniors are left unprotected. And that's our job, to make sure that we protect them, make sure that we make them feel safe in their homes and their neighborhoods. And they can't succumb to the pressure and the perception of that fear. You have to realize that we have police officers out there. You are safe. Do we have crime? Yes. But is it as it was? No. And we're moving in the right direction, and we'll continue to move in the right direction. What you need to do is know your surroundings, know the certain areas where you can and can't be, and allow us to fight that crime in those other areries.
One quick question that I want just popped in my head: blight, and people are complaining they see garbage loaded up there, and they don't know if anything's being done about it. What's being done about it?
Well, I mean, the code enforcement is doing a tremendous job. They're working hard, and they are going after it. We work together, hand in hand with them. But what you have to realize is the geography of a neighborhood is what puts the perception of fear. There's studies, and I was reading one this morning about the geography of a neighborhood is what really makes people believe there's crime and fear and all of the things that associate with it. So.
Well, and I just wanted to address that, the fact that you guys are doing that. Folks, talking to Jerry Speziale, Chief of Police, you know, there's a lot that they do every day, and when you see the cops on the streets, give them a wave. Believe me, the surrounding area, we're very fortunate. From Cunningham, Butler Township, Freeland, Beaver Meadows, West Hazleton, I mean, I don't want to miss anyone, but all those that state police, forget about it. These guys are women are doing a great job. Jerry, I want to thank you very much.
My pleasure, Sam. Thank you for coming in.
To your
My
office.
pleasure.
Okay?
It's great to have somebody here instead of coming over and sitting on the couch. So
Okay.
works out well.
We'll see you next time, folks.